Well, Kira, this was a very quick court appearance. It could have been an arraignment today where you may have heard a plea of guilty or not guilty in court, but his high-profile attorney, Alan Jackson, pushing that back till after the holidays. Nick Reiner was himself in court, kind of shielded from view. As you mentioned, the judge wouldn't allow cameras to physically show him, and even Alan Jackson kind of blocked the view from a lot of the gallery in the courtroom itself. From those who did get a glimpse of him, they described him as showing very little to no emotion, answering questions quietly when the judge asked anything.
We've all watched the glossy tributes roll in, the rehearsed praise, the selective memories, the industry's synchronized pause around Rob Reiner's name. His work shaped decades, his political voice echoed through generations. But beneath all that public reverence, there's a quieter story no one seems ready to touch. What's being overlooked is Ron Howard's response. Not loud, not emotional, but strikingly restrained. And that restraint feels intentional. This wasn't the language of routine loss. It was a kind of careful wording that carries weight, as if every sentence was edited to avoid something unspeakable. Howard has always been known for calm precision, for never letting emotion outrun control. So when his statement felt unusually guarded, it raised an uncomfortable question. Was he grieving a colleague or protecting a memory?
But in the meantime, we do want to continue to update you on the Nick Reiner situation there. Of course, it has been a really fast-moving week here with the investigation of the horrible death of Rob Reiner and his wife, and then the arrest there of the 32-year-old son, Nick Reiner. But there's some new information.
Because sometimes the loudest truths don't appear in what's said, but in what's deliberately left out. And if you read between the lines, it starts to feel like the real story isn't living in public statements or press headlines. It's hiding in the pauses, the omissions, and the silence no one wants to explain. In a fictional retelling, the night of December 14th, 2025 unfolded in Brentwood with deceptive normalcy. The neighborhood rested in its usual hush. Manicured streets, guarded entrances, an illusion that nothing truly dark could breach its borders. But as the hours passed, that calm fractured. By midnight, the residence Rob Reiner shared with his wife, Michelle Singer Reiner, became the setting of an unthinkable nightmare. Discovered by their daughter, Romy, inside their bedroom, the scene was one of staggering violence.
It's always easier looking back on things rather than being in the moment and making some decisions. But is there thinking now that is going on that should this Nick Reiner have even been at this party? What is some of the talks right now about that situation? Because it seems like, you know, a very wild card situation being put in there by the
injuries so severe that investigators would later describe them as the result of repeated sharp force trauma. The shock rippled outward, rattling an entertainment world already struggling to process the loss of an icon. Yet amid the flood of statements and emotional tributes, one response stood apart. Ron Howard, famously deliberate, famously composed, released only a short message. It honored Reiner's legacy, acknowledged a professional bond, and expressed grief in the most restrained terms possible. To casual observers, it sounded respectful. But to those who have known Howard for decades, the tone felt unusual. This wasn't merely grief over a fallen peer. There was a gravity beneath the words, something unresolved, something deeply personal, suggesting that his silence carried more weight than any public declaration.
And it's so sad because Rob Reiner was 78. His dad, Carl Reiner, also famous, Rob had been in a similar situation to that of his son, lived to 98. You know, I mean, he clearly had some good genes even on the male side, which is rare. And who knows how much longer he could have lived. You know, the other two children seem to be madly in love with their parents. And there's a third child, too, a first daughter that he adopted when he's married to Penny Marshall. So, you know, your heart has to...
Ever could. Here's the detail that refuses to fade into the background. In this narrative, Ron Howard and Rob Reiner were never merely industry peers. They were parallel reflections, two former child actors who matured into architects of modern cinema. Howard built his reputation on restraint and precision, crafting stories with calm authority. Reiner, by contrast, became known for his confrontational voice, his willingness to turn film into a megaphone for political conviction. Their paths crossed early and often, from Reiner's involvement in shaping Happy Days to the moment both men stepped behind the camera. Their careers seemed to orbit the same milestones. Publicly, there was admiration. Privately, those close to them describe a bond threaded with quiet friction. One spoke loudly, challenging systems and institutions. The other mastered neutrality, becoming a director who never unsettled the room. That divide wasn't just
wanted to be there. It certainly didn't look like he wanted to socialize with anybody. And obviously then gets in this big blowout fight with his father at the event. And so much so that it gets so bad that they left. And I think it's fair to question if he should have been there.
Philosophical. It was deeply personal, which is why Howard Furlong's silence in this story feels loaded. When he finally spoke, the restraint raised a question no one wanted to voice. Was it reverence? Or was it the product of something unresolved, something carefully buried over decades? The answer, if there is one, appears to begin the day before everything unraveled. On December 13th, in this fictional account, Rob and Michelle attended Conan O'Brien's annual holiday gathering, an event known for its warmth, its laughter, and its carefully curated guest list. Yet multiple attendees later recalled an unease that crept into the room. Their son, Nick, allegedly moved through conversations with an intensity that unsettled people. Some say he disrupted private exchanges. Others describe long,
Nick Reiner waiving his right to a speedy arraignment and now will be back in court January 7th. This was Reiner's first time in court since he's been charged with the parents, renowned director Rob Reiner and his wife Michelle. The judge granting cameras in the courtroom but not allowing images or video of Reiner to be
blinking stares, followed by abrupt demands for names, as if searching for something no one else could see. The most haunting moment, according to this narrative, came when Rob quietly pulled a longtime friend aside. His voice, barely above a whisper, carried confession that would echo with tragic irony. I'm terrified of him. I never thought I'd say this, but I'm afraid of my own son. Those words, spoken in what would become his final hours in this story, transformed a personal struggle into something far larger. Because Nick's past, years marked by addiction, repeated attempt at recovery, and severe mental health challenges, was not unknown within Hollywood circles. It was an open secret, observed from afar, acknowledged in murmurs, but rarely confronted with meaningful action. And that is where this narrative leaves us, not with answers, but with a trail of silences, the kind that linger long after the lights go out, forcing us to wonder whether the most revealing truths are the ones no one ever says aloud. Yahan kahani ka wo hisa adahai jahan ran Howard kikamoshi karek bayan ban jarihai. Is narrative main, Jab Reiner could dostun or collaborators any Usky generosity.
This is a devastating tragedy that has befallen the Reiner family. We all recognize that. Our hearts go out to the entire Reiner family. There are very, very complex and serious issues that are associated with this case. Those need to be thoroughly but very carefully dealt with.
Courage, or Usky filmmaking legacy par Kol Karbat Ki, Howard Car reaction lag haida, or easily as ayada noticeable. Usne koi purani yade share nahi ke aayi. Happy days ka dainan ka koi kissa, sa kazare hu milestones ka koi zikr nahi. Sirf ek chota, बहुत सोचा समझा हुआ जुमला रॉब को कई पहलुओं से याद किया जाएगा. Mary Humdardi Usky Garwalan, or Usky Karibi Dostun Kusaf Hai. Bayes, na jazbat kazar, na personal lama. ऐसा लगता है जैसे कोई ऐसा शख्स बोल रहा हो जो बहुत कुछ जानता है लेकिन कहना नहीं चाहता. इसके tragedy esikach have to be politic.
Mr. Kira, waiving the right to a speedy arraignment would have a number of implications. It could be one, the defense is looking to investigate this case, believing that there are some facts they can bring to light to both prosecution and law enforcement to try to mitigate what might be the initial charge. The other aspect, and when I looked at that prevention smock, could be to get a medical evaluation of Nick Reiner so he understands what's going on with the case and to see if there are any plausible defenses based on his mental health.
Rob Reiner ऐसी हुआ नाजार ATH. सितंबर में NPR के फ्रेश एयर इंटरव्यू के दौरान उसने कहा था कि निक ठीक चल रहा है, कई सालों से सब्सटेंसेस से दूर है और एक आज ही जगह पा रहे. Publicly, yet the Sally Dean wali tasvir thi. Megar ab फैमिली के लाग इके मंजर हाइन. निक की स्किज़ोफ्रेनिया के रिसेंटली चेंज की थी ए और उसके शेडी थे. Ike seors eni ise yun bayan kia ke wo kadmen, ike aisa jo eor jtieche shedid shuba eor deor. B is fictional account ke asrainers eni nikkyo party men eli jena. सवाल उठता है क्यों? जवाब भी उतना हाई परेशान कौन ने? इके ए और से और के मेन कोलैबोरेशन थी. वो उसे अकेला छोड़ने से डर रहे थे. और ISI Silsumain, Ron Howard की कमोशी for ऐसी समियारी हाई. एक ऐसी कमोशी जो surfgam की नहीं लगी. Ball के ace raisin की जो शे काबियावाज में ना bad line. This is the point where the narrative shifts in an unexpected direction. Public attention has largely centered on the visible facts. Nick's arrest, his detention near the USC campus, the serious charges, the reports of suicide watch inside Los Angeles' Twin Towers facility. That storyline has dominated headlines. But what's been missing from the conversation is how those closest to the Reiner family reacted once the shock settled. And in those quieter discussions, Ron Howard's name surfaces again and again. Not as a grieving observer, but as someone who seemed to grasp the gravity of what unfolded in a way others did not.